means when people that do something bad. And I'm thinking, Lord,
you got a lot of work to do.
I got work to do.
You got a lot of work to do.
And so I said to him, well, Troy, that's not really a nice word to use, so don't call anybody else that word. And he gave me the look like, okay.
Right. He's good with it.
So now you can see why I might be a little off.
You're a little off.
With you tossing me under the bus with the McDonald's.
Well, that was, yeah, I mean, you got to have at least one incident with one kid, but that was kind of lightweight compared to all the low maintenance after that. Like, there was I was cruise control.
Correct. You were correct.
And so you had to earn the whole dad thing with the other two.
Correct.
So, okay, so there's three of us, and then all of a sudden we have like, you find the love of your life, who you're still married to. She has a kid. You take in one of my teammates. You take in a second teammate. So all of a sudden we went from three.
I took in the two teammates before we got married with
Yes. Well, you were dating,
so,
but
right. That was the four of us.
Yes.
4 boys and me.
Right.
And life was going fine.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
We all had duties.
We had chores.
We had
roles.
A lot of laughter in the evening.
A lot of wrestling.
Because
you would try to sneak us and say, just in case you're thinking about it.
Well, one of the things that I realized is that there can only be one king in the house.
Right.
And you guys, as you start growing up, if I wait until you're grown and try and jump,
you might not be able to take us.
I might not be able to take you. But if I start from a little boy and you see how strong I am, then you won't try me.
Right. I'll have to say it sort of worked, but like with Vincent, who's like 6'6", 230.
Hold up, but see, Vincent never wrestled with his dad, so his dad didn't establish the rule.
Right. So you kind of
When I jumped on Vincent, Vincent wrestled me back. And if you notice, if Vincent had a little more guts, he would have kept up for a little longer, I would have been out of wind. And so
you'd have been a little turtle on your back.
So I had to take and start choking Vincent until he was in pain. Because
you had to go extreme.
There can only be one king. Right? So
right.
I got Vincent up. If you remember, I picked Vincent up on that table.
Yeah, I remember, yeah.
And then I started choking him.
I was trying to stay out of the way.
Finally, Vincent said, I give. So what you guys didn't notice, I jumped up and strutted like, remember Buddy Boy Rogers, the wrestler? I started strutting around the room. I was so out of air.
You barely made it.
I was about to fall over. But see, I couldn't let that show.
You couldn't let it show. Hey, I give you credit because you walked out there the king.
Correct.
And Vince never
had any idea. But if you've never noticed, every time I jumped on Vince after that,
snuck him.
He was sitting down.
Yeah, and you snuck him.
Right. Because I didn't want to go through that same procedure again.
Right. So that brings up another point.
Yes.
Vince, I think, has now been inducted into the South Lakes Hall of Fame, which means you housed 3 South Lakes Hall of Famers.
Correct.
Which I know that's a point of contention with you and Coach Bird and Coach Lewis, because you really didn't see any benefits from it.
Right. I had 3 of his starting players in my house.
Yes.
Eating at my house.
Yes.
$500 a week food bill. I would have to fix like 20-something pork chops for dinner.
Yes.
About 3 or 4 chickens. And
well fed.
And one Sunday I made 3 cakes on Sunday morning, and you guys ate all 3 cakes before the nightfall.
Because the cakes are good, and
right.
that's where growing boys, we
right.
need to have our nourishment.
So all I asked, Coach, was give
maybe
me
a ticket or something.
A ticket. Let me have a free basketball ticket.
And you never.
I never got one free ticket from Coach Lewis.
Right. And you had this tradition of taking us off on our birthdays, but it was more like a hustle, which I'm gonna give you a debit on that because why would you hustle? Wait a minute. Why would you hustle like teenage kids, like a game to 10, and we got to give you 9 points on our birthday, and you do it every year on our birthday.
But wait. You've got that story backwards. Here's what happened. We used to play a one-on-one basketball game.
Yes.
And a game which I never had played before.
You played in high school.
I forgot. You're right. I was like the city in high school.
Yes. So stop lying.
Okay.
You're trying to get to the pearly gates. Okay. Forgiven.
Okay.
All right.
We used to play on your birthday one-on-one.
Yes.
And because one-on-one is the game where you don't go around up and down the floor, strength counts.
No kidding.
Right.
Yes.
So I beat you every year.
Because you would just back me down.
Right.
And then you stopped.
Correct.
When I got to a certain age.
No. In your senior year.
Yes.
I had beaten you in your junior year.
Yes.
In your senior year, I was thinking it might not happen. But
right. So you finagled your way.
No, I was no finagle. I woke you up in the morning because I had been outside and it was windy. So I woke you up that morning and I said, it's time to go play to see who the king of the house in basketball is. And you said, well, the gym is closed. Well, yeah, you think? So I said, well, let's just go play outside, because I'd already been outside. And I knew that you were going to try and shoot those long jump shots on me, and the wind was going to blow it off.
You should be ashamed of yourself.
No, I'm not ashamed.
You should be ashamed of yourself.
I'm establishing my kingdom, and there can only be one king in the house.
That is just foul.
So sure enough, we got out to the court, that Blake court, and the first thing you did, and we played from 0-0.
Yeah.
Here's where you got mixed up. When I played that other kid we're going to talk about in a minute.
Right.
I told him that. But I was playing from 0-0. And I knew you were going to try and shoot those long jump shots. Sure enough, you got out there, you shot it. The wind blew it off. I got the rebound and put it up, got my 2 points. And so when I won and beat you again, because you couldn't stop shooting those long jump shots.
Yeah, I hadn't developed the basketball IQ that I needed.
Yeah, I had already decided that you can't make long jump shots out in the wind. And that's why I chose that Sunday morning, because I knew the gym was closed.
That is shameful.
That's
and so,
that's planning. So what happened was, after I beat you in your senior year, I ran and jumped in the bed and said, you're no better than you ever were. I'm the king.
Yeah.
So this kid comes walking up, and he says, Mr. Allen, can I play you? And I look at the kid and I say, who are you? He said, my name is Grant.
Right.
I said, Grant what? Grant Hill. I said, oh, Calvin Hill's son? He said, yes. Can I play you? I said, don't you know I've beaten the starting center and the stars of the basketball team? Didn't you just see me beat him and you want to play me? He said, yes, sir. I said, well, give me 9 points in the game to 10.
Shameful.
And
it's bad enough you hustle your kids, but then you hustle.
No, here's what he said. He said, but you started off with him the 0-0. And I said, do you want to play me or not? So he said, okay. So we started off 9. He had to give me 10 points in the game to 12. So we started off playing, and I scored 2 points on him real quick because I'm stronger than he was.
Right.
So now I said, okay, take your points back, so we'll just play from even. So I beat him.
You backed him down.
I backed him down.
And threw in that little dinky hook shot.
However, was he playing for? Had he played for the Magic by then?
It was before.
It was before that?
It was before the Magic Pops.
What about had he been to the Pistons about when I beat him?
It was before the Pistons. It was definitely before the Pistons.
Was it before Duke?
It was actually significantly before Duke. Yeah.
Was it before high school?
Well, it might have been his freshman year of high school.
That's right. He was just a freshman, wasn't he?
Yeah. So let's back it up. Let's back it up. He's like 14 years old, and he's maybe 160 pounds.
Max.
Max.
But did I beat him? Yes. And not only did I beat him, then every time he would see me afterwards, he would want a rematch. And why would I give him a rematch? 1-0 is a better story. Right. I saw him. I would see him.
So we're in Orlando, right? And you just moved.
Before that, I would see him around wrestling when he would come home from Duke, and he would ask me for a rematch, and I would say, Grant, you got to work on that game. Come see me. So I moved down here to Florida, and he's having an art show at the art museum. So I told Toby, I said, I'll go see Grant and get a book signed. So I go in there. I walk right past him. He look at me and don't recognize me because I had a beard, and he hadn't seen me in years.
Right.
So I walk past him. I get in line to get a book signed, and this lady said, he's such a nice guy. I said, yeah, I know him. She said, well, where you know him from? I said, well, he was kind of sandwiched in between my oldest son and youngest son in the school of basketballers. And I said, in fact, I actually beat him in basketball. I didn't tell the lady he was 9 years old.
Not 14.
But that wasn't
that didn't make for a good story. You beat up on a 14-year-old.
So when the lady gets her paper, you had to give him a little piece of paper. What do you want him to sign?
Right.
So the lady said, this gentleman said he beat you in basketball. So Grant looked up at me and said, well, he may have, but I don't remember. So he signed her book. So on my piece of paper, I had written that Brian and Troy, your dad was better than all of us. And he looked up at me and said, Mr. Allen, is that you? I said, yeah, I thought you didn't remember. He said, you mean when I was in the 9th grade at the clay pool? I said, I don't care when it was. It's 1-0. So then he said, well, let's go play now. I said, Grant, the Magic is hoping that you're gonna bring him, take him to the promised land. You're gonna play the whole season. So you really don't want to play me.
Wow.
So
Grant, I'm not endorsing this, man. I'm not endorsing this.
I'm thinking, why would I ever have played him again? Because by the time he was a sophomore, I would have had to take him outside like I did you.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, because he'd have ate you up as a sophomore, Al. No question.
Well, we don't know that.
My money would have been on Grant because he would have taken you. He would have posted you up.
Wait, you could say when you were playing for Penn State, you could have taken me and beat me. You don't know that.
Yeah, and so you'll live off of that.
The only thing you know is that you never beat me, and the only thing that Grant knows is he never won.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Grant. Man. I'm not encouraging this.
And I beat Vincent, so the only thing that Vincent can say is that I didn't beat him. And Troy, I figured that by the time Troy was like his sophomore or junior, I might not have been able to beat him, but why play him? Right. I could just threaten, like I could beat you.
Yeah, understood. Okay, so you mentioned Toby, and I only got to live with her a year when you guys got married, and you told a story that I wanted to defend her, but it was kind of tough to defend, and it was because like you used to make her dinner all the time, and she was getting her masters, and she was stressing a lot. And so you would make her dinner, and then maybe the vanilla wafers were getting away from her, so she asked you to portion them out?
Well, you know, I didn't marry her because she could cook.
Well, I thought she could, and I thought she did, but the story kind of leads me to believe that really wasn't happening. And I wanted to defend her.
She had to cook for her. She had
Chris.
A boy,
right.
So she had to cook for Chris, but it wasn't good stuff. But it was passable. So the first time I bought a big bag of ginger snaps, I walked in the room and her jaw was filled up and she looked like a chipmunk with ginger snaps and milk. I didn't realize that she had a Jones.
Well, she had a Jones for ginger snaps.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So from that day forth, when I would buy ginger snaps, I would have to hide the bag.
Right.
So for 2 years, I hid the bag in the top oven of the double oven.
Because you knew she'd never go.
Because I knew there would be absolutely no way that she was ever going to go and cook something. So for 2 years, it was hiding in the top oven.
Right.
Well, one day I'm talking, and she's sitting at the table, and I opened up the top oven door because I was going to turn it on to cook something.
Right.
And she saw the ginger snaps in there.
Dan got excited.